So there it is. Super Saturday is over. France take the title with a 35-16 win over Scotland at home. Big party there in Paris. And yeah, I kind of called France to win this Six Nations, but I also called them to win the last two as well. So third time lucky, I guess. It wasn't a classic French performance, but it was very powerful. The Sean Edwards defence really stood up to Scotland's attack, and Scotland, they threw the kitchen sink at France, which is what they needed to do. I think they got their tactics absolutely fine. It just kind of shows you the difference in the two teams. Scotland have lots of skill and flair and speed, and they really threaten France, but they just can't strike that killer blow, just lacking that bit of power, to be able to go to the forwards and just grind or maul. It does help quite a lot. And France, with Gaël Fickou back in the centres, he and Moefana were really good, sliding the French about, and then France had plenty of power to come off the bench, which always helps. And in the end, it was too much for Scotland. So well done, France. They win the Six Nations. Scotland aren't quite good enough. And if Scotland had won, it would have given the Six Nations to England, which Scotland probably wouldn't have liked anyway. So maybe it was the best result all round for both of these teams, dare I say. But anyway, let's get into the game. Let me know what you thought. So welcome to this video supported by Sports News Blitz. And 3 minutes in, we could see what France were bringing. It was power, power, power. Massive maul, and the maul was so dangerous all game. Brought to ground, simple penalty, and France were very happy to take the points in this game. They weren't going for too much. They just needed the win. Bonus point win wasn't important. They got it anyway. A little later, a second maul is collapsed, and that's too much for the ref, and Ritchie goes for a 10-minute rest with a yellow. Now on 17 minutes, the first try is scored, and France are fantastic on the counter-attack. It only takes a little chink of light, and Ramos launches a good one, and the centres Moefana and Fickou combine really nicely for an excellent try for Moefana. So first blow there for France. So 20 minutes in, France are settling fairly well. They're looking quite controlled, but then what is not controlled is what Malvaka does on the ground. It's really weird. He does a kind of flying headbutt thing to Ben White. He seems aggrieved about something. It's a yellow. It looks like it's going to be upgraded to at least a 20-minute red, but it's not. So that's a big call. It looked like he intended just to hurt him, really. I don't think he did hurt him. If he'd connected, surely it would be a straight red. So you'd think at least 20-minute red, but that was definitely lucky for France, unfortunate for Scotland. So they get away with just the 10 minutes. And then a minute later, Finn Russell makes a hash of quite an easy high ball. And Luku hacks ahead, but Ben White, who's been fantastic for Scotland, gets there first. And Ben White really in the picture for the Lions tour for sure. But France, again, happy to kick the penalties when they get them, even when they're in tempting attacking positions. So on 24 minutes, it goes 13-3. Now, in this game, stats-wise, Scotland did dominate the attacking play. They had more attacking options. They had more attacking chances, should I say. But France are drifting really nicely. But they find a gap up the middle to Scotland. It's really nice as Darcy Graham works off his wing and finds some big boys to exploit. It's Gilliard and Antonio who can't close the gap, and he bursts straight through. So that's really good, going in looking for work as he did all game. Excellent game for Graham and Van der Merwe and Kinghorn. That back three, really, really dangerous. So it's 13-10. And I was writing at this point, the irony is every point Scotland get, the England players and fans will be cheering as well. It's a weird situation. Anyway, Scotland are in their flow. That's nice. They have some good launch plays. Jordan, another good game at 12. Targets into Mac and goes forward, gets some gain line. But then actually a slight fumble helps Scotland as Bielbarry thinks he can intercept, so he shoots up and Russell dummies and goes around him. And Antonio can barely even move, so Scotland are in a really good position. They stretch France really severely, side to side. Ruck speed is good. It's looking good. France giving away 4 penalties, so it has to be a yellow for someone. It's the prop Gross who gets it. And they're flowing and get a penalty. And they take the point. Should they have gone for a bit more then? Maybe, but anyway, it's 13-all. When France do get their attack going, it's fairly good. Luku's controlling it nicely well until Brown, the new second row for Scotland, goes side entry to a ruck, so they creep ahead, 16-3. Now, just before half-time, some craziness as France look like they're going on the final attack. Nice kicking game from Luku, pushes Scotland back, but France can't execute their line out, and Ben White breaks up the left. Scotland kind of work the length through phases, and Blair Kinghorn burns down the right. Big handoff for Matt Fagerson, and it looks like Scotland are going to score as Fickou misses a bad one-on-one tackle with Jordan, But no, Kinghorn is just in touch, and I think he was. That was another massive moment. So Scotland could be ahead in this first half, but in the end it is France 16-13 at half-time. So into the second half, the game in the balance, we have a massive moment just 2 minutes in. Scotland are building fantastic, quick, chaotic phases, really stressing the French. It's good defence, but of course that sort of attack is a double-edged sword, because one mistake and you're completely out of position due to the chaos you're trying to ensue. And it's a bit of a lazy switch from Russell to Graham, goes to ground, Intermac scoops it, feeds BL Barry inside, and he's too quick. And that is a killer try, 23-13, when Scotland were doing exactly what they wanted to do until that error. And then, of course, comes the French cavalry, a new front row. Meafou comes into the second row. Jégu, loads of players rolling on into the pack, freshening it up for France, because they needed it, because they were going through a stack of defensive tackles. And Scotland, on 49 minutes, just throwing that kitchen sink at France. It's good pace on the attack. Finn Russell makes a good break off another launch play off a scrum until Luku hunts him down. Luku has been phenomenal since Dupont has been injured. He's just taken that mantle, the Petit General, and really forced France around the pitch, and his work in defence as well is brilliant. Probably, player of the tournament for France, even though, he only came in, I guess, halfway through. Scotland are getting through their phases fairly well. They earn a penalty, so 23-16, so still only one score in it. On 52 minutes, Jamie Ritchie gets an excellent turnover penalty, but Russell misses touch, so just these little mistakes hurting Scotland as Pinot chips and chases, and sensational stuff from Van der Merwe, scoops it up in his own dead ball zone, burns Pinot and hands him off, and it's just a really good game. It's end-to-end stuff, so exciting. On 55 minutes, France go back to what they know works. It's a big power play, massive maul, one-out runners, nothing complicated, but the likes of Meafou are going over the gain line, marching Scotland backwards. They win a penalty for a 5-metre line-out chance. Massive maul again, pulled down deliberately, but it doesn't matter as Ramos is found under the post by Pinot, and that feels like the decisive blow. 30 points to 16, and then just after that the knockout blow, this time from the French backs, obviously working off a good platform, but it's the pace of BL Barry, just too quick as he sucks in the extra defender, and Ficou finds Moefana to power over a couple of drifting Scotland defenders. So 35-16, that's how it finishes, but it doesn't stop Scotland continuing to absolutely blitz it at the French line, but they just can't get anywhere, and that is the match. Massive defence from the French, and then some power plays. Too much for Scotland. Scotland fired some shots here. I think they'll be fairly happy at the amount of attack they had, but of course they'll want more tries than what they got. Anyway, let me know what you thought of that game. Let me know what you thought of the whole tournament. If you've been watching and you're not subscribed, it would be amazing if you did. Of course, we'll be debriefing this tournament, talking lots about the Lions and going into the Lions as well in the summer. It would be awesome to have you along for the ride. Anyway, love to hear what you think about that game and France winning the whole thing. Comments down below, and I'll catch you next time.